creating AI solutions that are not just powerful but also principled. Welcome, Mr. Choudhury. Joining him in this conversation is Mr. Arif Ahmed, Vice President Product at Protean, who is bringing in deep understanding of AI and DPI intersect to bring in meaningful impact. Let's dive right in. Over to you, Arif.
You're giving the question same as me. Keep the questions. Thank you.
No, it's on. Just keep it closer to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this exciting fireside chat. Today, we are here to discuss what is one of the most critical topics in the world of BFSI today: building AI capabilities for BFSI with agentic architecture. To deep dive into this, I have Mr. Prashant with me. Prashant is a technology entrepreneur who previously founded ClassCast, an edtech platform that scaled to provide affordable education to over 1.5 million underprivileged students monthly at less than $2 per month. By breaking the price barrier, he was instrumental in adding the next income group to the world of online learning. Building on his experience in creating transformative technology, his focus for the past 2 years has been on the future of workforce. So his current venture, GAPI AI, is redefining workforce productivity by creating AI employees. So this technology captures and scales the expertise of top performers, creating a digital workforce capable of executing complex, open-ended tasks to deliver outcomes that exceed conventional benchmarks. So let's get right into the topic for the discussion. Welcome, Prashant. Welcome to the
Thank you.
discussion. It's a critical topic, like I was saying. So let's get started. So starting with the global view, globally, AI is seen as a universal technology wave set to transform every industry. Now, how do you think India should follow? India should approach this wave not as a follower, but in a way that is authentic to our own set of challenges.
Okay. Thank you guys for having me here. Thanks to the Protean team. And back to your question again, Arif. So, when you look back at it, and so as someone who comes from the DPI itself, who has enabled DPI for the larger population, if you look at our UPI movement, then we were not following. The UPI movement was not emerged out of replicating what PayPal was doing. We went to that grassroots transaction level. We understood what infrastructure would look like if it was implemented in India. And it became the backbone of all the future DPIs that came along, whether it is PAN or Aadhaar. Since digital payments are the most critical juncture of it, it leapfrogged. So that is a similar approach that we need to take here as well when it comes to AI. We do not have to replicate or follow the solutions that have been implemented in the West. Our solutions will be born out of our own Indian context. Our solutions will be implemented for a much wider audience. I mean, if there is a digital public infrastructure for AI, any product, then the combined users of AI that you have entirely in the West and USA and Europe alone, that will be the interface users right from India itself. So I would say, to put it briefly, our solutions don't have to follow the West. We have to leapfrog on the basis of understandings that we have here. We have a demographic dividend. We have a population that adopts technology, understands technology faster than the West ever could. So I would say that is where we have to be.
But taking your point, let's say we don't have to adopt. I mean, we have to take it and then make it contextual for India. If you have to take that point. But however, if you look at how AI typically works, it thrives on data.
Right.
There has to be a lot of data for the machine learning models to work. But in an economy like India, where it's not all about data, business is built on relationships and also on trust. So how do you contextualize this in Indian context? I mean, considering that it's not just data, it's also about relationships and trust.
Okay, so the currency for the Indian economy, especially in the MSME sector, if you try to see about it, has been trust. Everything. For example, we have close to 540 million MSMEs. The data is not the formal data that you see, right? Banks cannot underwrite that data. We have informal data in receipts, cash receipts, the shop inventory and everything. These people have not entered the formal credit cycle in their full potential as of now, right? So Indian solutions have to look at it from that perspective, that how can I put informal data towards that, how can I put AI in, but that was being done manually, right? The judgment was very manual. So how can we introduce AI to take that particular aspect of informal data and formalize it into the credit system. And to let's better understand it with an example, right? NBFCs are doing MSME loans today in the sector. How the MSME loan works today is that banks are not going to provide them credit because the informal data, the bank statement data, and all these particular things that the underwriting backbone that forms the underwriting backbone is missing. So what they do is they hire an FOS worker. This FOS worker has to act like a loan officer, like a seasoned MBA. He is a 12th pass person, right? This guy has to act like a loan officer, go to that particular person, collect all the documents and complete the application form. Now, how do we ensure that this 25-year-old, 22-year-old is a great loan officer? So we did a pilot recently where one of this person who was going to the client's place, that shopkeeper's place, would carry an AI assistant with him. The entire conversation was being streamed to AI within the device. That AI was suggesting him questions that, okay, this is, you have not touched about the interpersonal skills. It goes into that granular nuance that, okay, how are their finances? Is someone alcoholic in that particular family? It can go up to that level. Or how does the inventory flow look out? It can take in the seasonality. Are you going to make more during Diwali? And what is the BAU? How does the business as usual go on? So now, what AI did here was that you took your 25-year-old who was a 12th pass or a first year college student, gave him the intelligence that a seasoned MBA would have and completed that entire loan application process. And then there are other bridges that can be brought in. So it's not about replication, it's not even about following, we have the informal data. We didn't have the manpower to convert that informal data at speed because we have 540 million enterprises as well. We can do it, we are doing it today, but it is taking 30 days to process a single loan. With AI, we should be able to bring it down to 3 days, 4 days. At least the data collection part can be sorted. We can arrive at the correct underwriting model itself. So I would say these are the pockets where you see that those small nuances of AI bringing in the informal sector, which is lagging behind, which is 30% of the economy and brings around 50% of the GDP, I guess. It brings them back into the credit system.
Understood. So you're saying it's not just about using the existing data, you're saying it's also about creating data in a way, using AI models that we have, and in a way increasing the financial inclusion to the root corners of country, right? And it will also improve efficiency if I have to take your point forward. But with efficiency also comes the risk of, I mean, the concerns of related to jobs, right? So in a again a country like India, how do you frame this where we're using AI not just for simple automation, but for the mass empowerment of the whole vast human capital that we have?
Okay, so we talked about demographic dividend that India has, right? Our 50% of the population is either under the age of 25 or going to be under the age of 25. It is approaching that 18 to 25 bucket. So now, the example that we saw, like 2 minutes ago, we took an example of a person who has just cleared his high school. And right from the high school, because our economy is that vast, he has to now take up a job. Now, either he can go through an expensive MBA, which is going to teach him the same things that he was going to anyway learn on the job, or he can be enabled with AI so that he learns on the job while also being able to fulfill all the outcomes. No company is willing to risk outcomes for his learning experience, but we have a huge population pressure there, right? 50% of the population entering that particular age. When you turn 30, you need to have a stable job. How do we ensure that these people, once they have entered that particular age group, are much better enabled to be part of not just the economy in terms of consuming what has been created, but rather going beyond it? So this particular example highlights that you can take up people, you can ensure that they are learning on the job, and then they are becoming an active member of the BFSI sector. Probably in the next 5 years, he will be a much better loan underwriter than he was, or he could have been if he had gone with the usual learning experiences.
So you're essentially saying that AI can be used as a technology to empower the existing workforce, to also bring new workforce into the system, which may not have been otherwise, part of the ecosystem. But to do all of this that we're talking about, the different AI-related use cases, there's a lot of risk which comes, right? So what frameworks do you put in place from a governance perspective, and especially when you're doing this at a national scale?
So in a country as dynamic, as vast, we process close to 450 million transactions daily on the UPI. So let's say if there was a public infrastructure for AI, then that would be billions of conversations happening daily. So in this particular structure, governance cannot be an afterthought. Government has to be thought of in advance, and that is where an infrastructure that is enabled not by the West, rather within India, that has to come apart. How does that get controlled? That has to be a mix of the entire policy. We have certain directions towards consent already coming in with respect to the recent DPD Act, or whether you look at RBI trying to ensure that people are educated the right way about the credit products. That was one layer. We need to do something similar for the AI. That is where someone like a Protean, someone like a UODI can come in and play a much wider role, where they ensure that there is an infrastructure that I can latch on to. The infrastructure ensures that it is a responsible architecture, and the customer does not have to worry about it, because uh, when it comes to technology, if you remember, back in 2002 we had the dot-com bubble, and everything around the data, sharing the data became a problem after 2002. It was never a problem before that, right? The data was not stored at all. The moment you cannot wait for AI conversations to hit 500 billion or 600 billion and then start thinking about the governance and the policy around what should be contained, what should not be contained, who can be held accountable. I think the start is that we start theming everything. All the next policies that are coming around should incorporate some element of AI, and how that is going to govern that particular conversation.
I think fully agree. Governance and trust should be the foundation and not an afterthought. And I think even if I were to just take your point forward and look at the RBI report, I think which was released, it also kind of says the same thing, that the trust has to be foundation when you're building AI systems, and especially at national scale. Uh, we have been talking about a lot of frameworks. We have been talking about all these technologies. But do we have? Can we show something tangible? Can you talk about a use case where this is actually implemented? How is it actually implemented in a BFSI context?
Okay, so I will try to pull something up together to make
Sure.
it more tangible. So, and I think Protean has been leapfrogging in that particular direction when we talk about the human touch points. How can they become much more empathetic? So let's try to test it out. Can it be more empathetic as it should be? So just give me 2 minutes. I'll bring up a call, and well, let's take up a scenario where a person has overdue, and he has not been able to pay his credit installments on time, and we'll try to simply see where that conversation takes us, right? So just give me a minute.
Sure. And we have always said lending is not about origination, lending is always about collection. So if you're able to demonstrate something like this, it will definitely be of a lot of help for all of the banks and NBFCs.
Great. I'll just
से कॉल है। आपकी ईएमआई 8,500 रुपए की 18 सितंबर की बकाया है। ये 20 दिन से बकाया है। क्या आपको इसकी जानकारी है और आपकी भुगतान की क्या योजना है?
मुझे इसके बारे में पता है, लेकिन मेरी नौकरी चली गई है, तो शायद मैं अभी ये ईएमआई नहीं दे पाऊंगा।
समझ सकता हूँ मुकेश जी कि परिस्थितियाँ कठिन हो सकती हैं, पर ये ईएमआई 20 दिनों से बकाया है। क्या आप इसे 3 से 5 दिनों के भीतर भुगतान करने का प्रबंध कर सकते हैं?
मुझे कम से कम 7 दिन चाहिए होगा।
मुकेश जी, 7 दिन का समय थोड़ा ज्यादा है। क्या आप इसे 5 दिनों में करने की कोशिश कर सकते हैं? इससे आपका रिकॉर्ड सही रहेगा।
पूरा पैसा नहीं दे पाऊंगा, थोड़ा सा दे सकता हूँ।
ठीक है, अगर आप पूरा भुगतान नहीं कर सकते, तो क्या आप कम से कम 4,500 रुपए का भुगतान कर सकते हैं? बाकी राशि आप अगले 5 दिनों में दे देंगे?
मेरे पास अभी 3,000 ही है।
ठीक है, आप 3,000 रुपए का भुगतान अभी कर दीजिए और बाकी राशि अगले 4 दिनों में कर दीजिएगा। इससे आपके रिकॉर्ड पर ज्यादा असर नहीं पड़ेगा।
So this was a very simple conversation. This was something that a person was doing. You are not able to observe it, and we have a responsibility towards our borrowers, right? If they are going through a hard time, if they are going through a particular nuance, we have to build those systems where they do not feel harassed for the loan that they needed, where they have to be, if they are going through a rough patch, give them that option, give them that flexibility. So responsibility can be baked in, right? This conversation could have gone in any direction. I could have asked for a payment link and I would have received it. So these are the simpler nuances that will become much more tangible as we go forward.
And I think this also demonstrates the leapfrog that AI as a system has taken. And it's not just about a rule-based system anymore. It's about the empathy also which comes with it, right? And I think, especially in a use case like collection, where empathy matters much more than the actual payment process. I think it's a very, very good use case for what we're trying to do on the agentic side. And with that, I think thank you, Prashant. Thanks a lot for coming here. The insights, I think, were great. And I'm sure the audience would have also had a lot of learnings from the session that we've done. And great, and thanks again. Thanks.
So, as an as a closing note, so when it comes to responsible AI, the responsibility is not only in terms of safeguarding the conversations about what kind of data, where it is being stored. The responsibility goes towards the responsibility that we inherently had as a bank, as an NBFC, as a technology provider. And how can AI be baked in to ensure that we are able to observe whether we are fitting by those responsibilities or not, and ensure that we are able to fulfill those responsibilities that the public trusts us with. So I guess the AI is going to make the responsibility index much wider.
Fully agreed. Understandable by design, if I have to maybe summarize what you just said. Uh, 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 and thanks again for coming here and being part of this discussion.
As nice talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant, for joining us in this insightful conversation. May I request Arif to please give a token of gratitude to Mr. Prashant. Thank you once again. Thank you. All right, we had a power-packed first half here at the day 2 of Global FinTech Fest at Protean Pavilion. Stick around, we've got some exciting masterclass, showcases, as well as conversation in the second half. Thank you.